April 1912. The Titanic, a colossal monument to human ingenuity, prepares to embark on its maiden voyage. To the world, it is an unsinkable ship of dreams, carrying the elite of global society across the Atlantic. But beneath the glittering surface of wealth and luxury, a dark agenda lurks. Three of the world's richest men board this floating palace, completely unaware that this voyage will be their last. They believe they are traveling to America to further their empire, but in reality, they are walking into a carefully designed trap. This is the story of a silent murder that changed the global financial system forever.
These three men were John Jacob Astor IV, the richest man in the world at the time, Benjamin Guggenheim, a titan of the mining industry, and Isidor Straus, the brilliant co-owner of Macy's department store. Together, their combined wealth was so vast that they possessed the power to single-handedly influence global markets, sway government decisions, and halt massive financial schemes. They were brilliant, fiercely independent, and most importantly, they shared a common enemy. A secret, powerful cabal was rising in the shadows, and these three men stood directly in their path.
To understand why they had to die, we must travel back to November 1910. In absolute secrecy, a group of elite bankers representing the Rockefeller, Rothschild, and Morgan dynasties gathered at a secluded resort on Jekyll Island, Georgia. Their objective was highly controversial: to design a private central bank for the United States, which would eventually be known as the Federal Reserve. This institution would grant a small circle of private individuals the power to print currency and control the entire nation's economy. But to succeed, they needed absolute consensus from America's financial elite. Astor, Guggenheim, and Straus vehemently opposed this plan. They recognized that a private central bank would strip the American government of its sovereign power and place it in the hands of globalists. Utilizing their immense wealth, ownership of major media outlets, and political influence, the three billionaires actively blocked the creation of the Federal Reserve. As long as these three giants remained alive and vocal, the secret banking cabal could never establish their financial empire. They had to be silenced, permanently and without raising suspicion. Enter J. Pierpont Morgan, one of the primary architects of the Federal Reserve Scheme. He was also, crucial to our story, the ultimate owner of the White Star Line, the shipping company that built the Titanic. Morgan was a man of cold calculation, accustomed to getting exactly what he wanted. If the opposition could not be bought, they had to be eliminated. The creation of the world's most luxurious ship provided the perfect cover for a high-stakes, highly coordinated hit that would go down in history as a tragic accident. How do you get three of the world's busiest and most powerful men onto the same ship at the exact same time? You lure them. The maiden voyage of the Titanic was promoted as the ultimate social event for the global elite. Whispers in high society circles, exclusive personal invitations, and the sheer prestige of the voyage convinced Astor, Guggenheim, and Straus to book first-class suites. They believed they were embarking on a historic, luxurious crossing, completely unaware that their tickets had been paid for in blood. Just hours before the Titanic was set to sail from Southampton, J.P. Morgan, who was scheduled to travel on his prize ship, suddenly canceled his trip. He claimed to be suffering from a severe, sudden illness. Yet, within days of the departure, Morgan was spotted at a French resort in perfect health, relaxing with his mistress. Several other elite individuals, close associates of Morgan and supporters of the Federal Reserve Plan, also canceled their trips at the very last minute, citing mysterious circumstances. As the Titanic pulled away from the docks, the three billionaires settled into their lavish suites. Surrounded by gold leaf ceilings, fine mahogany furniture, and unmatched luxury, they felt perfectly secure. They did not know that they were now trapped inside an iron coffin, isolated in the middle of the freezing Atlantic Ocean, with no means of escape once the trap was sprung. The stage was set, and the countdown to their demise had begun.
Commanding the Titanic was Captain Edward Smith, a highly experienced veteran of the seas. However, historical whispers suggest Smith was a Jesuit lay brother, bound by an oath of absolute obedience to his superiors, which included powerful figures behind the Federal Reserve Plan. On that fateful night, Captain Smith received multiple urgent iceberg warnings from neighboring ships. Yet, inexplicably, he ordered the Titanic to maintain its maximum speed through the treacherous, ice-infested waters. It was a reckless decision that defied all standard maritime logic.
But the anomalies didn't stop with the speed. In the days leading up to the voyage, the lookout's binoculars were mysteriously removed from the ship, leaving them to rely on their bare eyes in the pitch-black night. Furthermore, the Titanic carried only a fraction of the lifeboats required for its passengers. If disaster struck, death was a mathematical certainty for the majority of those on board. It was as if every safety measure had been deliberately dismantled to ensure a catastrophic outcome.
At 11:40 p.m. on April 14, 1912, the unthinkable happened. The Titanic scraped against a massive iceberg in the North Atlantic. The impact was subtle to many on board, but deep beneath the waterline, a series of fatal gashes were ripped into the steel hull. Water began to pour into the boiler rooms at an uncontrollable rate. The unsinkable ship was sinking. But amid the confusion and terror, the true targets of this disaster remained calm, unaware of the specific fate designed for them. As the lifeboats were lowered, a strict rule of women and children first was enforced, effectively sealing the fate of the male billionaires. Benjamin Guggenheim, realizing his end was near, famously returned to his cabin, dressed in his finest evening wear, and declared, "We've dressed in our best and are prepared to go down like gentlemen." Astor was refused entry into a lifeboat, and Strauss chose to remain with his beloved wife. All three men accepted their fate with incredible dignity, completely isolated from any chance of rescue. At 2:20 a.m., the Titanic split in two and plunged into the icy depths of the Atlantic, carrying over 1,500 souls with it. Among them were Astor, Guggenheim, and Strauss. Their voices, their immense wealth, and their powerful opposition to the central banking system were silenced forever in the freezing, dark waters. The greatest obstacle to the cabal's plans had been violently and efficiently removed, disguised as a tragic maritime accident that shocked the world.
With the opposition dead and buried at the bottom of the ocean, the path was clear. In December 1913, barely a year and a half after the Titanic disaster, the Federal Reserve Act was quietly pushed through Congress during the Christmas holidays, when many lawmakers were away. The private central bank was established, granting a small group of elite bankers total control over the United States currency, and subsequently, the global economy. The very nightmare Astor, Guggenheim, and Strauss fought to prevent had become a reality.
Was the sinking of the Titanic merely a tragic combination of bad luck, speed, and ice? Or was it the most cold-blooded, highly coordinated, and successful corporate assassination in human history? The three richest men in the world, who stood against the creation of the most powerful financial institution on Earth, were lured onto a single ship and never returned. As the rusted ruins of the Titanic decay on the ocean floor, the secrets of that fateful night remain buried, leaving us to wonder if the world we live in today was built on a foundation of cold-blooded murder